on. You didn't give him an intro.
Well, I was waiting for you, Mike. Go ahead and break it down for him, man.
All right. Well, yeah, this is Tyranny Busters. I'm Mike Benoit, and this is...
This is Mario. You ain't taking my gun from me, Perea.
Oh, man, I like the way he said that. That was bad. Anyway, we're here to bust tyranny upon the mind of man. Some folks think that they got control over their mind, and most of us don't. Most of us have been programmed.
And that's the tyranny. Somebody else has taken control of your mind. Nobody has the right to do so. Nobody has the right to take control of your body. And once you give it up to somebody else, whether intentionally or non-intentionally, you are under tyranny.
And the funny thing about that is that these folks think that these opinions they have are their own.
Oh, yeah. Like the opinion that they should, my gun should be taken from me, or I should be in some way prohibited from having a certain type of gun, or having a magazine that might carry 20 rounds in it, 20 rounds that I might shoot at an intruder coming into my house trying to rape my family, take everything that I have from me, or perhaps a government that wants to take away the fruits of my labor. How about put a lien on my property because I didn't give up the fruits of my labor? Or how about they want to come on and make sure that I haven't planted anything illegal on my property?
No, you just want innocent people to die, that's all.
Oh, yeah.
That's why you want people to have guns, so innocent people can die.
Well, Mike, I don't think anybody's innocent in this day and age, man.
See, you admit it.
Yeah.
There's your justification.
That's right, man.
Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and keep on justifying it. But this is real talk, man, And I don't want to make light of a situation. I was thinking about it. We're going to come on the show tonight, and I knew we were going to be talking about this gun thing because it's all the hype right now.
Well, everybody's talking about it,
Yeah. But, it's serious, man. So a bunch of kids got shot. So a maniac and some adults went into a school, shot up a school, took the lives of people, and that's wrong.
And I don't think anybody really knows how these people, the parents, are feeling, except parents of children who have been lost one way or another. And, during that period of time, this all happened in one location, but during that period of time or during the last week, I would say there's hundreds of parents that have lost a child and know that sort of agony. So to me, it's kind of a thing that those children are kind of lost in the mix. They're not news. And these children are news. And it's because it happened in one location. It was one explosion of violence. And then the reason it continues to be news is not just, here are the facts. It's because of all the hype and sensationalism and how everybody comes out to argue their point of, say, for gun control or for, against gun control.
Yeah. To me, this is the foulness of collectivism here, man. The utter disgustingness of collectivism. We are going to punish everybody because of the actions of a few.
It's like what they did with 9/11 and TSA.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I wonder if people who are right now talking about we need to ban this and ban that and have deeper checks into your background, do they at all feel violated when the TSA puts their hands down their children's pants or is filling up their invalid grandma on a wheelchair? Do they? I don't think these people do.
I don't know how they do it, quite frankly, Mario, because I can't put myself in one of those lines. I haven't been in an airport line since prior to 9/11 because I don't deal well with being violated.
And that's what this is people are calling for more violation of the individual's rights because of the actions of a few people. All you people now have to suffer the consequences because of what one man did. And this is, to me, this is really an indication that there is massive amounts of mental illness. Well, everybody's out here saying, yeah, man, we got to do something for mental illness. We got to be doing health checks and this and that. I'm saying, yeah, on you, man.
Oh yeah, these controllers, this massive amount of mental illness on these controllers. The 19 bad guys that did the damage on 9/11. Well, what we're going to do as response to that is punish 20 million travelers each year by doing all these dehumanizing and degrading things, like you say, feeling up grandma and feeling up the children, and to what end? These things had nothing to do with how those terrorists got control of those planes. It's just amazing. And now people are talking about what this individual does to violate the lives of numerous people, more than just the people he killed, and their liberty and of course their right, their pursuit of happiness and property. And so what's the call? Let's go violate 100 million Americans. Let's get our government to violate 100 million Americans. And the bottom line is they're saying, and take their guns from them, and if they resist, murder them.
Yes, that is the call. But they don't see it, though, because this isn't their opinion. Because if it was their opinion, they would have to go to that extent. They would have to think about what the consequences of that action of saying that we are going to ban your guns, it would be. And that would be the initiation of force amongst peaceful citizens in order to extract their weapons from them. But they don't. The person who is posting on their Facebook right now that we have to ban assault weapons, they just think it's like some fairy tale thing, like, hey, we're just gonna write a law, and then once enough people sign the law, all of a sudden, all the assault weapons or assault rifles, they'll just disappear. You know what I'm saying? We won't have to do anything to get those. They'll just disappear. They'll be gone.
Well, yeah, no, that won't happen. But what will happen instead is government thugs kicking down doors on a rumor that you might have an assault weapon. That'll definitely happen, and the violation of other people. Now, this thing it's really funny because of somebody violating somebody, and we asked the purpose of our government and the purpose of law is to secure our rights. We come into, now people are asking government to do the opposite of what it's supposed to do. And as Bastiat talks in the law, he says, he talks about the complete perversion of the law. He says, but unfortunately, law by no means confines itself to its proper functions. And when it exceeds its proper functions, it has not done so merely in some inconsequential and debatable matter. The law has gone further than this. It has acted in direct opposition to its own purpose. The law has been used to destroy its own objective. It's been applied to annihilating the justice that it was supposed to maintain, to limiting and destroying rights, which its real purpose was to respect. The law has placed a collective force at the disposal of the unscrupulous who wish, without risk, to exploit the person, liberty, and property of others. It has converted plunder into a right in order to protect plunder, and it has converted lawful defense into a crime in order to punish lawful defense. How has this perversion of law been accomplished, and what have been the results? The law has been perverted by the influence of two entirely different causes: stupid greed and false philanthropy. Let us speak of the first.
Well, let me speak of the second real quick.
Yeah.
Because the false philanthropy, in this case, the philanthropy, as I understand it, is doing for the greater good of others, right? And so they're saying, okay, well, we're going to do for the greater good of others, and that is going to be to take away people's guns, because this is going to keep everybody safe. And so we have to do this. But this is the because people have no concept of where the law originates, which is from the individual people, and coming together and creating this force that still recognizes the individuals, we think that it's like the government came before us. Like it was here, and then it gave birth to us, so now it's its responsibility to philanthropize for us. It's its responsibility to do what it must in order to make our lives better, as a whole, not as an individual. And I'm saying it's because we cannot recognize that it is the individual that is the most powerful and really the only thing that truly exists. Like in reality, everything else is just made up. We make up this collective. But because we don't recognize that it's the individual, in my opinion, we are unable to see that it is up to the individual to defend truly his own life or her own life. And so we come up with all these crazy ideas about how we're going to go about making the group safe, or we're going to do this to make the group safe, instead of just going, you know what? People, you should be armed. As individuals, it is your responsibility to defend yourself and to defend your families. And the only way that you can do this is to be armed. So take heed and buy a gun today. Buy 2, buy 3, buy 4. Stock up. Get a damn arsenal at your house. And be prepared. But here we go. Here's some philanthropy for you, Mike. In San Diego, Filner, our new mayor, go look on the Union Tribune website. They have this cheesy-ass picture with him and the San Diego police chief. It says, cop cars will have access to streaming video from campuses. San Diego police will soon be able to monitor live streaming video from 70 of the city's roughly 200 campuses, an added measure of security in the wake of Friday's school shooting in Newton, Connecticut. Okay, on the other side of the country, now people in San Diego are going to start watching from cop cars the schools because it's something that happened 3,000 miles away. The officer's ability to monitor the video from their patrol car laptop, possibly unique in the state, was among the reasons Mayor Bob Filner said Monday that the city is well poised to protect its children. Yes, because cops can see the school from their cop car. Somehow this is going to make children safe. We want to assure the community we're doing everything we can. Filner called the officials together for a briefing on school safety and what enhancements are needed. As mayor, I wanted to learn, what can I do, he said. Have we taken all steps to assure our parents that our kids are safe in city schools? Filner said that the answer he got was yes, they have. That's funny. That's pretty damn funny because I don't see any guns at schools, man. I don't see the true safety mechanism which would stop people from coming in and shooting up the place, which is teachers and principals, adults having guns inside the schools. That's what it would be. I don't see that happening. So I don't know where he got this yes. But more can be done, he said, including encouraging citizens and students to contact officials about anyone they believe is struggling with a mental health issue so authorities can intervene before it gets out of control. That's right. Look at your neighbors. Is he acting funny? Is he talking to strange people? Is he talking to himself? If so, call the police. San Diego psychologist Michael Mantel encouraged parents to hug and talk to their children and said everyone from students to adults has a responsibility to report to authorities anyone they believe is having mental health issues that could lead to violence. You better call the cops on me right now, Mike.
Boy, I'm telling you, this is all making me mentally ill right now.
Oh, man. So, yeah, having the cops have ability to watch our schools from their cop cars. And we trust the cops 100%. I mean, they're not no perverts inside those cop cars, right?
Oh.
I mean, but hey, we might as well have. I mean, why stop at the school? Why not just have cameras on every one of our city blocks, inside of our bedrooms, inside of our cars? Why? I mean, we want to be safe.
Well, that's where they're going. Wasn't that 1984? That movie. Or one of those futuristic things. Yes,
1984. Big Brother is watching you.
Yeah.
This is false philanthropy, is it?
Well, yeah, it's false philanthropy, but it's like, it's that where the rights of the individual is violated for the benefit of the so-called collective. Now, people are using these deaths as a justification, and they think in their mind that the group will be safer, that there'll be less murders if you get rid of if you outlaw all the guns. Now, and the thing is that you don't see reported is that you don't have reported the number of people who are alive today because they had a gun. See, because that's not a death that you could log down and record, and it might just go with in passing, or how many people weren't raped because they had a gun.
Go ahead, Mike.
All right.
Go ahead. What other things are guns doing, benefiting people but not being reported on?
Yeah, and how many people weren't, mugged, or their house wasn't broken into because they have a gun. So those reports or those numbers are not happening.
No.
And some deranged individual takes a gun that can be used for defensive or offensive purposes. He uses it for violent offensive purposes. And then those folks who use their weapon for defensive purposes against people like that guy are to be violated, and they are to be stripped of their right to defend their life, their liberty, and their property. And so, on one hand, I mean, I don't get it. We all condemn what this guy does, but then half of us come out running and saying, let's do it to all these innocent people. Let's deprive them of their right to protect their life, their liberty, and their property. And let's violate all these people. And so that's what the bottom line comes down to. And you could argue all day long that there'll be less deaths. People on one side will say there'll be less deaths if we disarm everybody, get rid of all these weapons. And on the other side, they'll argue, oh yeah, right. That's the same thing in Nazi Germany, where you ended up with 10 million people, 20 million, whatever number of people put to death because the people were disarmed. And so they can argue back and forth the utilitarian argument there. But the bottom line is, if you take away weapons from individuals who would only use them to defend themselves, you're violating their rights. And that's nothing more complicated than that.
No, it isn't more complicated. And I use this analogy. It's a lot more simplistic, but it goes to show the illness here, man. If you're a parent and you got 5 kids, right? They each have a box of coloring crayons. If one of those kids goes and uses his coloring crayons to draw on the wall, do you take the coloring crayons away from the rest of the kids?
Yeah, some parents do.
Yeah, the ones who...
Some teachers do.
Who are unable to recognize that it is this one child that has a problem. And that's it. It stops there. But see, that's what pisses me off about the dialogue that's happening right now, man. Is they're saying, oh, so many people, especially the ones on these gun grabbing things, they're saying, oh, you know what it is? It's that our country doesn't have proper mental health care. We need to get more money given into the mental health care system. And I'm saying, okay, so what you're doing right now essentially is taking the responsibility of this guy's actions away from him and putting it on to the rest of us. Essentially what you're saying is that I, part of this country, have not contributed enough to the mental health care system, and because I have not given enough, that this is the consequence of that. So I'm somehow to blame for this dumbass who knows what he's obviously jacked up. He's, who knows I imagine a lot of this has to do with the toxins of people being on these supposedly safe drugs that are just prescribed in massive amounts. But they take away the responsibility. Why not just say, this guy is whack? This guy sucks. Let's make posters of him and put him up everywhere and throw tomatoes at him. I don't know what it is, but direct your hatred at the individual who is responsible for this violation, and not try to say that it's somehow everybody else has a role being played in here. I don't know. This is collectivism. The inability to say that this individual is actually the one responsible for his actions. Just say it and get on with it.
Yeah, no, they can instead you're right, they're blame everybody, blame society, and it's your fault. And what these controllers want to do is take more from the productive, healthy, somewhat sane people and give it to those that are unproductive, unhealthy, and maybe not sane, and saying, here, and what you're having is you're building up this group of people who want to be on the receiving end, who want to work at the expense of everybody else, and punishing those who are paying their way and doing the right thing and stressing them out. And when you look at what the heck is the purpose of government anyway, and then we keep telling you, Bastiat's the law, its purpose is to secure our rights. It doesn't do that by violating them, and it doesn't do that by saying, well, we can be the patron and solve all the evils of the world. No, no, no. People will do violent, terrible things to other people, and we want government to step in and deal with those people when they do that, but not punish the people who didn't do anything. And, you know, that's the insanity.
Well, you know, and I think what's hard for people to understand that, especially in this situation, is because this guy dealt with himself for us. He did us all a favor when he took himself out. Thank you. Thank you for not having to put that burden onto us and us having to have this conversation about exactly what we needed to do with your dumb ass. Thank you for killing yourself, because you were a waste of air and you were a violent violator of people's rights. Thank you. So let's thank him for that. But we don't have to start, like you're saying, violating other people's rights. And this is, I think, where a lot of people, they don't understand this function of government, man. They don't understand what we did in this country a long time ago. They think that the Second Amendment somehow gave us the right to bear arms.
Well, you know what? See, this collective attitude is like, because Mario's all hyped up tonight, let's take the caffeine away from Mike. It's like, take the caffeine away from Mike, because Mario's all hyped up on caffeine.
Yeah, I mean, why? I mean,
that's what it's.
You got a damn good point there, Mike.
That's what it is.
Get away from your coffee. But this is what I'm saying, Mike. The Second Amendment did not give people the right to bear arms. The fact that they are alive gave them the right to use force to protect their life.
Even deadly force.
Deadly force. This wasn't some right that was granted to us from the government. We had this right long before the government came around, and we have this right long after the government went away, if that ever was the case.
Let's interject there at the school then. Do you think the people at the school, the teachers and the principals and all, do you think that they understood that they had a right to protect their lives with deadly force?
No. I probably not. And that's because of the laws that have been used to violate that right, saying we got to have a gun-free zone. This gun-free zone didn't do nothing for y'all, sadly enough. I'm not trying to make light of the situation. It just really sucks that because this law was made up that took away their right, or it didn't take away their right, but it suppressed their right, that it made them vulnerable to this situation. But all is not lost, Mike. I got another article here from our friends over at whatever news. Texas school district will let teachers carry guns. So I don't know if let is, maybe it should say Texas school district will encourage or will recognize the rights of teachers to carry guns. A tiny Texas school district may be the first in the nation to pass a law specifically allowing teachers and staff to pack heat when classes begin later this month. Trustees at the Herald Independent School District approved a district policy change last October so employees can carry concealed firearms to deter and protect against school shootings, provided the gun-toting teachers follow certain requirements. All right, sounds good. Let's go. The Texas superintendent linked gun-free zones with the uprising of school shootings in recent years. Texas superintendent, you're thinking. When you make schools gun-free zones, it's like inviting people to come in and take advantage. Yes, this is true. Why don't you think you see these maniacs going to the courthouse or to police stations and shooting up the place? Because there's guns there. That's why.
Yeah, and even the attitude that they would have, let's say at this school, the attitude they have if they know it's a gun-free zone is they walk in their bulletproof vests and everything, they walk in like they're invincible.
Right.
But if they know that, all these teachers that are going to be locking the doors of the rooms, they're going to lock the doors of the rooms and come out with their weapons ready to, unload on these vile miscreants, then they're not going to come there with that attitude. And they're, like you say, they're not going to show up. Maybe they'll show up somewhere else, though, folks. But they might show up at the mall, and then we go, then we have to realize they're going to go to a place where people aren't armed. And that's the whole point that we're arguing here is the bad guys will get the arms, and then the good guys are going to be defenseless with this kinds of legislation.
Well, that's it. Defenseless, neutered by this type of legislation. So the law comes in and says you can't have a gun here. Now, this makes you vulnerable to somebody who has a gun. So, like Bastiat says, when this law is made that violates your rights, when this law is made that says you can't have a gun, a person has to say, okay, well, I got a decision to make here. Either I respect this law and am a target, a vulnerable target, susceptible to some loser coming and taking my life, or I violate this law and protect myself from a would-be murderer. It's a hard choice to make, especially since if you do violate that law and say some guy is snooping around and thinks that you have a mental health disease and decides to call the police on you, and then you come and get searched as a teacher and they find a gun on you, and this is your whole education become a teacher, all those college loans flush down the drain, that's a hard decision to make on somebody. So it's like, okay, what do I do? Well, Kearns, Utah, 6th grade student brought an unloaded handgun to West Kearns Elementary School. This kid's thinking. An 11-year-old boy allegedly told other students his parents encouraged him to bring a gun to school for protection following the shootings at Sandy Hook Elementary School in Connecticut. Okay, so they're saying, hey, man, you better... They're saying, F the law, take the gun. You never know, even though it's unloaded. Maybe this kid's not telling the truth, but maybe he's starting to think, right? So this is what it's saying. Here's the other. This is what kicked me, right? On Tuesday, some parents decided to keep their children home from school to keep them out of harm's way. So that's illegal to do. You can't just keep this kid at home. You have to send them to school. So now the parents have to make a decision. Are we going to violate the law, which says I have to send my kids to school in order to keep them safe, or are we going to respect the law and send them to school where they could be potential targets?
Or you open up another door there. You open up another door of discussion, because it's like, then if these gun-free zones are not safe places to be, then maybe the answer is not to have these government public schools.
Well, I think you're getting somewhere, man.
And, a lot of folks talk about how they're just socialist re-education centers anyways, but, and maybe some of these products coming out of these schools, you could blame the school. Everybody likes the blame game here, so you blame the schools for these products coming out, kind of messed up. And in the states, or the school districts, they want as many students there because they get paid per student that's there, So they don't care how messed up people are, but they want them there. And that's really kind of another bizarre twist.
Oh, well, no, it goes on. There are some individuals that have chosen to keep their kids home from school, and that's very understandable. We are going to be working with those families, making sure they are comfortable with the steps and action the school is taking. Because we want them to be comfortable sending their kids here. But if they ain't comfortable, that don't matter. Because if they don't send their kid here and we don't get our money, we're going to take their kid from them.
We're going to use the force of the state, the government, to use deadly force against the parents to take their children from them, because they don't want to put their children in a harmful situation, but they don't know best because the state knows best. And they can use deadly force to violate the rights of parents. This should actually lead more discussion. More and more people should be talking about homeschooling right now, instead of violating other people's rights by taking away their right to carry, right to possess firearms and protect their lives. We should be talking more positive changes, more homeschooling, because it's coming out that these homeschoolers are excelling at twice the rate that people are going to government schools, and once upon a time private schools were accelerating, but there's hardly any private schools anymore because of the monopoly of the state-run schools. So maybe that's what we should be talking about. Let's promote homeschooling as a way to have your children more safe. And of course, if you homeschool and you got your, weapons to protect yourself from the crazy guys coming in, problem solved. No new laws needed.
I'm right there with you, Mike. How many homeschoolers have walked into their house, which would be their school at that, and just opened fire? Just to emphasize the situation here, and it's just, it's almost comical to read this. Ashley Gordon pulled her 7-year-old son out of class after hearing about the incident Tuesday morning. Good for Ashley. Maybe she's thinking about that, but maybe she's not. I don't want to have to be at work or anything like that and worry about my child possibly not coming home, especially before Christmas. It's like, really, Ashley? I mean, no, this isn't about Christmas. This is about your kid being safe. You should pull your child out indefinitely. You should, I don't know, ask your job, maybe get a new job, or just, that's the problem here, though, Mike, man. They got us, the state got us right where they want us. They debase our currency. They give us this fake monopoly money. They inflate it to hell. Now you can't have a household on one income. They social engineer all of our programming, all of our programs to make the man hate the woman in so many cases. They do everything to break up the families. So now it's a single-family household. It's even harder to do anything like that. And you're almost, because of economic destitution, forced to send your kid off to the state-run camp indoctrination / babysitter / pedophile ring / place where they'll learn all the nasty things that they will ever need in order to get through college.
Well, you just...
And that was a rant. That was a rant.
That was a good rant. And you just opened up the door there for me on another thing. You talk about how, the social engineering and the taxation and the Federal Reserve banking scheme with the printing press money and all this stuff, how it works to destroy the family. And of course, you got your family law and family court system that's doing the same thing, and the tax code does the same thing, et cetera, the welfare, all of that, destroying the bonds that people have naturally with one another. A friend of mine today seemed kind of cross with me, an old friend, an email friend now, regarding my position on Social Security and welfare. And I would just leave them out to die and to be hungry and whatnot. But what you talked about on the having to send the kids to babysitting really at the schools is that you think back, let's say we didn't have Social Security and people didn't put away enough for themselves. Well, what's going to be the alternative? They're going to be forced to, I'll take some of that coffee, Mario. They're going to be forced to live with their adult kids. And you know what? That's not so bad in most cases. Sure, some parents, adult parents, hate their adult kids and vice versa. But they're going to be there, and guess what? There's somebody home for the kids, and you don't have all this latchkey nonsense. And you can learn a heck of a lot from the grandparents. They're not going to be separated by 2,000 to 3,000 miles, and the government, the state's confiscating Social Security out of the paycheck of the mother and father that both have to work to make ends meet, and give it to the senior parents. And the senior parents think, well, that's money that I put away, but it's not. It's money that's being stolen from your kids. And the separation of the families like this and whatnot. All of this insanity. And then, when things are kind of going nuts like this, it's like, these kids need Ritalin and Prozac, and we're going to fix them up real good. And, they become zombies and do acts that zombies do. And what's the answer? Well, I got to have more government.
Yeah, because government's going to keep us safe. I mean, that's the problem. The problem is that we don't have enough laws. We need more laws. And if we just have enough laws, we're going to be safe. And this is people's delusion, man. They think that just passing a law somehow makes whatever the law is prohibiting go away. I don't know how people think this is the case. You see the drug war? You see when they say, hey, we're going to make cocaine illegal. Did that take cocaine off the streets? We're going to make weed illegal. Did that take weed off the streets? We're going to make alcohol illegal. Did that take it off the streets? No. So what in your brain that makes you think that if somehow you ban a gun, even a certain type of gun, an assault rifle, this is going to take it off the streets? It's not. It will create a black market. Okay, perfect example here, Mike. I went up to the Big Five on Saturday. Wanted to buy a shotgun. So I took the wifey up there, took the kid up there, was taking a look at the shotguns. I said, okay, well, this one's nice right here. And I was the one holding it. I was showing my wife. And I said, we just moved in with the in-law. So my license doesn't have my new address on there. And me being the honest person, right, respecting the law, he says, okay, well, I just need to see your ID. And I knew that it wasn't good. I knew this was going to be a problem not having my license or my address. So I said, oh, well, actually, my wife's going to buy it. My wife, 25 years old, right? She never, totally fucking coherent. So he looks at me and he goes, huh, I don't know if I could do that. I said, you don't know if you could do that? That's my wife. This is a gun that we're going to use for defense of our house together. She wants to buy the gun. Wife, do you want to buy the gun? She says, yeah, I want to buy the gun. He goes, yeah, but you were looking at it. I said, he goes, let me go talk to my manager. So he goes into the back and he talks to him. He goes, it's easy. All you do is got to go to DMV and they can get your get the address changed. He goes, you can even buy it right now, go get it changed, and then come back when you pick it up in 10 days. And I was like, no, dude. My wife's right here. She's telling you she wants to buy this gun.
She's got a license.
She's got a license, and you won't sell it to her. So here's the thing, right? I said, no, man, I ain't gonna buy this gun from you. This is ridiculous, man. I don't want to give you my business, man, and I don't want my wife to give you her business either. Here's the thing, I could easily just went on the street and picked me up a gun. I could just found some guy who's selling shotguns down by the swap meet, picked me up a gun, and it would, and I, but here's again, when they set up these laws that restrict our rights, we have to make that decision. Do I disrespect the law and protect my life, or do I respect the law and then wait however long it takes for the damn DMV and doing all this crap and this crap and this crap? Who knows, in the next 2 weeks before I even get the chance, my life could be over. And is he gonna feel bad? Is that guy who at the gun counter who wouldn't even sell a gun to my wife? Is he gonna feel bad? No, he ain't gonna feel bad. He's gonna say, that's just we gotta have a safe society.
Just doing what it takes to protect everybody, and just being a concerned citizen. And the thing is that with all of that too, and it's just like you had to have your permission to travel with the right address on it to get this. Now, there's some folks that may or may not be listening to us, because if they know how we go, they might not be listening to us, but they'll be saying, well, yeah, people that get a gun should pass a psychological profile. And you can imagine what the profile is, Do you love the government? Or do you hate the government? And if you answer, oh, I hate the government, no gun. But if you say, I love the government,
ding, 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 ding,
there you go, Pat.
We're going to actually subsidize that to you. You're going to get a tax rebate, and we're going to steal from Mike in order to get that gun to you for no cost. Bam!
Yeah. So, that's how you pass the psychological profile. And the whole idea is that they're thinking that we'll just, because you might be a little whacked. Of course, everybody's a little whacked.
Thank you.
But that's the reason why we want to have the right to keep and bear arms, is because
everybody's a little whacked.
People are a little whacked, and you don't know, They might just be, normal, your best friend forever, and then one day come in and just like this guy, kills his mother, in this shooting, and you hear about this kind of stuff. What's that called? Patricide. And of course, this stuff has been going on since the beginning of time throughout history.
Right.
And you know what? I guess I don't know if this is going to dovetail in perfectly, but we'll see. Bastiat says that the fatal tendency of mankind, self-preservation and self-development are common, aspirations among all people. And if everyone enjoyed the unrestricted use of his faculties and the free disposition of the fruits of his labor, social progress would be ceaseless, uninterrupted, and unfailing. But there's another tendency that is common among people. When they can, they wish to live and prosper at the expense of others. There goes your welfare programs and that kind of thing. But there is, when they can, they do that. This is no rash accusation, nor does it come from a gloomy, uncharitable spirit. The annals of history bear witness to the truth of it. The incessant wars, mass migrations, religious persecutions, universal slavery, dishonesty in commerce, and monopolies. This fatal desire has its origin in the very nature of man. It's that primitive, universal, and insuppressible instinct that impels him to satisfy his desires with the least possible pain. So there's this two sides to man, and that's really the dovetail. Someday somebody's going to say, to heck with going the honest route, and it's just going to turn. And what the whole premise that the individual operates on in the individual philosophy of individual rights is, either we have a collective society based on Karl Marx, or you have an individual society based on Thomas Jefferson's idea that we all have certain unalienable rights, and these are individual rights, and that government, as Bastiat talks about, cannot violate your rights, that the government cannot do what you can't lawfully do. You can't come to my house and take my guns from me. Now, you're hoping when you pass your legislation that you can get the force of the government gun, and folks that I know that really rail against the government gun when it's being misused and overseas wars and these kinds of things are supporting the government turning its own guns. But no, they're saying, oh no, it's your own fault that you don't obey the law that's designed to plunder your rights. And everybody's hoping that we're all docile enough just to cave into the 1984 government, and the same government we hate on some issues, we're going to love it on this issue, and we're going to say, people, just get on your knees and genuflect to your God government and give them your guns.
Yeah. And I'm calling hypocrisy, man. And this is the delusion, man, the collectivism, the tribalism, right? About these people, and I'll go ahead and make the statement that it is the people on the left, the liberals, whatever you want to call themselves, that are calling for these gun-grabbing agenda and these laws. But there's people on the right, too, that are doing it. They're coming over. They do it slowly. They know they can't just come out all the way, so they're going to say, 20 rounds to a mag, that's too much, blah, 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 blah. But the people on the left here, man, the people who are talking about, we don't want any violence, we got to stop the violence. Where are you at when it's this war going on right now? On multiple fronts. The American government, President Obama, the one that y'all probably voted for, is out there giving guns to murderers in other countries. Okay? And you don't say nothing. What about the Fast and the Furious? We're running guns into Mexico by the truckloads, and y'all ain't saying nothing. You can write to your congressperson about this. Oh, we got to ban assault weapons right now because these kids are getting shot up. Yeah, that's all well and good. Kids getting shot up here is a horrible thing. But what about the kids in Iraq? What about the kids in Pakistan and Afghanistan and Libya and Syria? Here's this thing. Here, Mike. Talk about gun control. U.S.-Iraq ties still evolving a year after the war's end. Okay, sure, we believe that. A year after the last American troops rumbled out of Iraq, the two countries are still trying to get comfortable with a looser, more nuanced relationship as the young democracy struggles to cope with political upheaval and the legacy of war. The U.S. Embassy in Baghdad, a fortress-like campus as big as Vatican City, remains a highly visible reminder of America's ongoing interest in Iraq's future. And what interest is that, you say? America's role as Iraq's biggest arms supplier ensures continuing ties to the Iraqi military for years to come. So here we are. We just destroyed the infrastructure of this country, overthrew the government there. And now what do? We love them so much. We come in and we make sure that they have enough guns to go on fighting amongst each other and killing each other. And what type of weapons do we give to them? First of all, this bull crap about the war being over. The number of U.S. government employees and contractors working at diplomatic outposts around the country has fallen below 14,000. Oh, damn. That's a whole little low. That's 14,000. You don't say. According to figures provided by the embassy in Baghdad. That is down from 16,000 early in the year. Okay, well, and it's going to shrink probably about 12,000 in 2013. But what are these 12,000 doing? They are responsible for facilitating Iraqi arms purchases, including 3 C-130J transport planes handed over Monday, and training the Iraqis how to use the weapons. So they're selling them helicopters that they're going to use to fight people and kill people. They're selling them massive amounts of artillery, selling them bombs. And you want to say they're selling them bombs? On Monday, a wave of bombs struck a number of targets, including areas disputed by Arabs and Kurds, killing at least 25 people. So we just destroyed the country's infrastructure, overthrew the government. We said we're leaving them. Now they got bombs killing 25 people in one day. I mean, this happens on almost a weekly basis in Iraq right now, right? 25 people getting blown up at one time. Where are you guys at with that? Why are you guys talking about that? I mean, you're concerned. I'm pissed off that these kids got shot. But if you weren't so tribalistic and you were able to identify people as individuals and not members of a collective, then you wouldn't say it's okay when it happens to their tribe in Iraq. I'm not going to get all pissed off and write to my senators. But I am going to get pissed off when it happens to my tribe here in America. This is the disease of collectivism, and it's the same thing as racism. And it all it does is because it's all arrogance and it's all ignorance, and it's just it really, to me, is indicative that these people have not come to formulate these opinions on their own. Because if you had formulated your opinions on your own that it's bad to kill people, and that this guy who killed people inside of Connecticut is a bad person, then you would apply that same principle to Barack Obama and his administration that right now are selling massive amounts of guns to people in other countries that are killing massive amounts of children every single day. But y'all don't say nothing about that, though.
You got another cup of coffee? Man, you're going there. You're going there.
I'm pissed off.
Well, yeah, But that's true. I mean, and it's like a lot of folks can't see outside their own needs. Some folks can't see outside their own family's needs. Some folks can see the neighbor and they're connected that way, and they care about the neighbor, and they care about maybe people at their work or at their church or whatnot. But to extend it out to a universal premise, it's hard for them to do. And they don't see, if you base everything on each person is endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights. And the Declaration of Independence doesn't talk about Americans being endowed with unalienable rights. It talks about everyone, each of us. So if we have these rights, and if everybody bases their premise on government that way, then they don't go down this road that says it's okay to violate the rights of people in Iraq or Iran or Syria or whatever. And, a lot of times the justification is their own governments are violating them, so we should do something about it. We should go in there and violate people instead, because we'll do a nicer job of violating people than they will. And the thing is, we built up Saddam Hussein with military and all the military weaponry sold to Iraq during his regime, and he was to be a counterbalance against Iran, who had not been friendly with us since 1953, because our government helped topple their democratically elected government, and we put in this brutal dictator, the Shah of Iran. And I say we, I'm talking about these miscreants that, you know, are in charge of our government, running our government. And of course, we're to blame because we allow them. And like you say, we don't get up and raise holy Cain like people are raising holy Cain now to violate the rights of honest gun owners in America right now, or people that want simply to maintain the right to protect their life, liberty, and property. We're screaming that we should violate those people. And so when people violate other people, instead of saying that's wrong, you shouldn't violate other people like that, we turn around, and I say we, it's this collective mindset out there that says, let's go around and violate all these other people in the name of security. And actually the false god of security, because you're not secure. If you're a disarmed people, it's not a.
You are unsecure.
It's not a secure people. But to think that, you know, and it's just to think, I have an email thread going on where somebody is saying that the gun's only purpose is to kill. And it's like, you know, that's like, its only purpose is to kill. Well, I say its purpose is to save life. If someone's coming at you, let's say they're coming at you, there's 100 people coming at you with a machete, with machetes and spears, and they're going to kill you. Well, if you've got a few people with a gun, you can preserve your life. So to say its purpose is to kill, instead of its purpose is to preserve life, is to really to put evil on everybody. Is to say everybody wants a gun to kill. And, you know, how many millions of Americans have how many millions of guns total? I don't know. There's something like probably near 1 billion guns in this country. And, you know, they're all there with the purpose to kill somebody. Well, I guess they're failing on their purpose if that's the case. You know, they have these for all kinds of purposes. People collect guns like they collect coins. Here's an old gun from 100 years ago, Civil War gun or whatever, old gun from the Old West. Here's a gun from World War II. And people have guns that they like to go out and shoot target practice. It's the same thing as taking the bow and arrow. The bow and arrow isn't just used to be for killing, you know, game and fighting in wars, but now it's used for target practice a lot. So to say its only purpose is that is just, it's ridiculous. But it doesn't matter. You could say the car's only purpose is to get people from point A to point B, and yet it fails its only purpose because it kills tens of thousands of people a year. I forget, they talked about the number of people that were killed.
30,000, I think?
Yeah, 30,000 is probably around the number. And that's a lot of people. And the car's purpose is not to kill, but it kills that many. There's 12,000 murders, and I don't know if they're what kind of weapons are used, but there's 12,000 murders a year in the United States with whatever weapons that are available to be used, and 30,000 people die. So, you know, you can attribute a bad purpose to the gun and a good purpose to a car, yet the car kills 3 times as many people a year. So but this is just someone's projection on what the purpose of the gun is. Sure, it will kill. A garden hoe will kill. An axe will kill. All these things will kill. But I would like to say that the gun was invented as a way to protect life, defend life.
Absolutely.
And or, yeah, kill game.
I mean, it's like a shield, really.
Yeah.
You know, it's like it protects you. You may never have to use it, you know, in order to defend your life. But this is another thing that I think is kind of evidence of the pussification of our culture here. It's like,
what did you just say?
I said sissification of our culture.
That's what I thought you said.
Because you're like, you know, somebody that's going to take that position, they're like saying that, you know, killing can never be a good thing. Like, you know, like you should never kill somebody. And it's like, well, sorry. I do agree that one should never, you know, kill anybody just out of cold blood, but I ain't going to feel bad if somebody's coming up in my house in the middle of the night to do who knows what, and I pop a cap in them and they die. You know what? I might feel a little bit bad. I'll take that back, man. I would feel bad. But I ain't going to lose no sleep over this guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to feel bad. Damn, why is this guy so stupid? You know, what is he thinking? You know, I feel bad because I'm compassionate, you know. But, hey, man, I'm not gonna hold it against myself or think that I'm a bad person because I killed that guy. I mean, he's going to hurt me. And so it's my duty to defend my house, man. I'm the man of the house. I must lay down the law. And the law is that I was born with the right to defend myself and use deadly force if necessary.
Yeah, you know, and even if you're killing the world's worst miscreant, you still should feel bad that you had to take a life. It was preservation of your life or your family. And you still should feel bad that you had to do that. That's a terrible thing to do. I mean, I feel bad if I had to put a dog to sleep because of its gut problems, you know. And so when you end a life, you should feel bad about it.
Yeah.
But you definitely should never. You should feel 10 times as bad as if you take a life unjustifiable, or if you get drunk and you go out and kill somebody. 10 times as bad as you're killing the miscreant that's coming in to murder, rape, and pillage your own home. So there's a difference in degree levels of how bad you should feel. But you know, this collectivist attitude or idea, it pervades so many things, and it's a collectivist idea on the right when they say that, you know, you got to have all these drug laws. And on the left, they want to take the guns away. And, you know, here I am. I'm a guy going around saying, you have a right to keep and bear arms. You have a right to keep and bear a marijuana cigarette or a package of cocaine if you want. And if you cause yourself harm with that stuff, that's your business and your problem. You know, there's people that kill themselves with guns. There's people that kill themselves with drugs. But when the left and right come down on the different sides here, I'm just pulling my hair out and saying, but they're coming down on and basically from their own personal viewpoint, not on a point of view of principle.
Right.
You know?
Right. And this, man, I wish people would pay attention to this when you talk, Mike, because you make a lot of sense when you show the hypocrisy of each one of the sides. How the one over here is saying, hey, we got to outlaw drugs because they could potentially cause somebody to go crazy and commit a crime. That's what the right says. And the left goes, no, people have the freedom to do drugs. Then the left goes, but we should ban guns because it might potentially cause somebody to go crazy and commit a crime. And then the right goes, no, but we have to secure the right to have guns. And it's like, what, you guys just don't even realize that you're saying the exact same thing as each other. However, they're not saying that. The left ain't saying we need to give people the right to do drugs. And the right's not even saying we should give them the chance to bear arms as free people because they're requiring me to have a license to show my address, and they want background checks just as much as the other side does. They want to infringe upon my right. But this is the delusion. This is the propaganda that each party has been able to kind of generate for itself in order to create this illusion that they actually stand for something when really they don't stand for nothing. But they can't see that they're saying the same things because they're involved in this tribalism. They go, hey, I'm saying over here the sky's blue, and this guy's over here saying, hey, the sky's blue, but they can't recognize that they're saying the same thing because they're parts of different tribes, and it is based on this collectivism. Here's another thing, Mike, because you talked about it. President Obama strongly supports the renewal of assault weapons ban and would back new gun legislation, the White House said Tuesday. Oh yeah, we didn't know about that. He would support legislation and address the problem of so-called gun show loophole and other elements of gun legislation. He would support high-capacity ammunition clips, for example. This is certainly something he would be interested in, said Carney, his little talking head. But everybody's saying, oh, yeah, but Obama's getting all this support from these Democrats who were acting like they were for gun rights. He says that Obama met with Joe Manchin earlier Tuesday, who is a West Virginia Democrat and a longtime NRA member, who has since Friday come out in support of tougher gun laws. Since this one maniac guy who was just crazy decided to go and kill a bunch of people. That's what they meant by Friday. This one person, he's come out in support of tougher laws because this one guy did this. Manchin released a statement confirming this call from the president. And he says, the president called me this afternoon, and we agree that as Americans and parents, all of our children belong to all of us, and we must work together to keep our precious children safe. And I look at this and I say, what does that even mean, man? We agree that as Americans and parents, all of our children belong to all of us. So is this guy saying that because I live in America and he lives in America, that my daughter is his daughter? What? This guy must be on crack. Because, no, dude, my daughter's not your daughter, and your son ain't my son. So recognize the lines here, man. We are not a part of this. You're not my fam, dude. So quit acting like you're my fam, and that you want to start making rules that my family needs to abide by.
Well, yeah, now you're saying it because he's not just acting like he's your fam. He's acting like he's the head of your fam.
Yeah.
Yeah, and he's going to make the rules, and he's telling you, you don't need a gun to protect your daughter's life. You need to give up your gun so that those 20 people in, what's the name of the town?
Newton, or was some Connecticut?
Newton, Connecticut?
Yeah.
So that doesn't happen again, which is a farcical dream of his anyways, that something like that's not going to happen again, unless people, it could be maybe not happen at that scale if people have a different mindset and they're ready to take these kinds of guys out because they're prepared. But he's saying, don't worry about protecting the life of your child because these other children are more important than your child is. And you're supposed to go, oh, okay, Daddy.
Yes, Daddy. But you said it right there, Mike, and I'd like to end my rant here on this. If one of those adults, those 6 adults that got killed at the school, would have had a gun, the likelihood of this guy getting taken out before he had a chance to kill all those children would have been seriously decreased. If all 6 of those adults would have had guns, the likelihood would have probably almost disappeared. And to somehow be in denial of that, I mean, you are the one that needs to go get your mental health checked up on.
Sounds good. Is that another edition?
That's it.
All right, we're signing off.
Right. Thanks for joining us every Tuesday here at the Liberty Library.
And Christmas Day, I don't think we're going to be here.
Oh, I'm here.
Are you going to be here Christmas Day?
I'm here, man.
All right, we'll do a Christmas Day show.
Yeah, you're going to wear the Santa Claus hat.
Okay.
So if anybody wants to come and sit on Santa Claus's lap, bring our children, I mean your children, over here. And we'll have,
man,
a whole hootenanny. All right, thank you very much.
Good night.